Greetings my friends, and Happy New Year to you. I hope that it has been to your taste so far. Today we're going to look at a few pens that I received actually last year. These are the Hong Dian N23 Year of the Rabbit fountain pens that were released last year. I believe they were released in these three colors and also in a black color. So today we're just going to take a quick look at these and see how they write and how they perform and how they compare with other pens of similar caliber in terms of their price range. So I got 3 of these. 2 of them are in an extra fine nib size, which I've been gravitating towards more recently, and this one is in what they call, I think they call this the long knife or something. So this is supposed to imitate Sailor's Naginata Tugi nibs, but we'll see how that actually compares in reality. So I'll uncap these and take a look at the nibs. Very nice engraving of the little rabbit. Again, taking a quick look at the nib. This is their supposed long knife nib. This is extra fine. Very nice and clean, actually, very nice. We can do a size comparison with some of our other favorite pens. Pilot Vanishing Point. Size-wise, they're close, but style-wise, they're completely different, of course. We have Lamy 2000 in stainless steel. We can see that it's almost the same height. Pelikan M800. Green demonstrator. Pelikan is a little bit larger. The Hong Dian Qin Dynasty is also much larger than this pen. So you get the picture. In terms of the feel and hand, these pens, before I received them, I thought they might be much heavier than they actually are. They have a good weight on them, but they're not like the old brass pens that we used to get, like the old Jin House. This doesn't feel like it. The other thing about the design is that there's these beautiful engravings on each one of these pens of the rabbit and some trees. It's a rabbit, beautiful rabbit here. Nice little bunny. And we have that, it seems like the design is copied on all 3 of the pens that I have. It seems like it's the same design imprinted. The one thing I've noticed is that on the blue version that I have, everything feels smooth. I don't feel the engraving. It seems like they probably did the engraving or whatever they did and then they lacquered it with something that I cannot feel the texture. However, on the white one, I can feel it, especially towards the bottom here. You can feel this. So they're not consistent in between them. Whereas the red one, you can feel all the engravings. It seems like it's completely like unfinished. The blue one is very nicely tucked in. It seems like lacquer over. So the red version, it seems like they painted extra. The other thing they could have done is that with the blue version they could have engraved this, whereas in the red one they could have just painted on it. That could be why this is kind of more like painted as opposed to engraved and lacquered on. I've had these for a couple months, used them a little bit, but I don't see any chips, cracks on the paint, and I don't see any major scratches on them. So they've been pretty durable, and I don't bang my pens against each other, and I don't let them rub against each other, so I take good care of them. That might be part of the reason. And I also store them in a nice pen case. They have remained in pristine condition, but either way, I feel like they've done a very, very good job in terms of designing this and paying attention to the details. Of course, we know that Hong Dian can do that from their later iteration of the Qin Dynasty. There's a ton of detail that went into this pen. It's a beautiful piece of art. So we know Hong Dian can do this, and they can make good nibs and good pens. But how does it feel? The pen in the hand feels substantial, but it doesn't feel unwieldy. And to me, I have larger hands. It does not feel like it is heavy, or it doesn't feel that it's too light or too small, even though it is actually a small pen. Can it be posted? I don't know. How secure? So if you're super crazy into posting, it can. You can squeeze this, it'll stay, but it's not a secure poster. Okay, so it's not a poster pen. I like to hold it in one hand and write with the other hand. It doesn't bother me because I don't post. Do be aware that it doesn't post well. The grip section, I'm not sure what it's made of. It seems like it's plastic. It is lighter than the rest of the pen. The barrel feels like a little heavier than the grip section, so it's probably made of plastic or some kind of resin. And there's this ring that we should worry about rusting and chipping and stuff. Hasn't happened to me, but time will tell. One last thing to look at is the converter. It has a Hong Dian branded converter, and it is actually, this converter actually looks a little bit more premium than the Sailor's $1,900 converter. So back to the pen. It seems like the threads are made of metal. It screws in very securely, so it stops towards the end, so you know that you shouldn't be pushing it too much more before it breaks. And the cap the same. So if we put this on, about 1.5 and 1 to 3/4 turns. Not bad. So let's uncap this. Oh, 1 1/4 turn. So it uncaps in 1 1/4 turn. How about the other ones? 1 and a little bit. So they're not 100% consistent, but the best test would be if the cap from one fits the other one perfectly. And the answer is yes. How do you like this combination? Let's do a writing sample. No particular line variation to speak of. Moderately wet ink and moderately wet nib. It does perform very, very well, and I'm actually quite impressed by the extra fine nib on this Hong Dian. I have several Hong Dians now, probably 8 or 9 of them, and they have never failed to impress me. Which brings us to the long knife version of this pen. The nib is ground to somewhat imitate the Naginata Togi. It can express a little bit more ink when you push. Live variation. It does thinner down strokes and thicker side strokes, kind of like an architect. This is more of a semi-architect / broad nib than it is a Naginata Togi. For comparison, we can take a look at the Sailors. Nagano Hatogi, this is the king of pen. Completely different league. You can get line variation, you can get different line widths based on what angle you're holding the pen. You can express a ton of ink by just pressing this. Definitely makes up for some of the heft of the price that you have to pay to get this pen, but not necessarily saying it's worth what they are charging for it. So although this is nicely made, when inked with the proper ink, it actually writes pretty well. It's respectable for the price that you pay for this pen. Do not anticipate or expect this pen to write like a proper Nagano Hatogi ground nib. I'm sure there are aftermarket nibs that you can place on this or any other pen that would have closer to similar to Nagano grind, but this is not it. This can write closer to an architect, and it can give you some bold writing, but does not replace a proper Nagano. However, let's get to the pros and cons of this line of pens. These are about $30. You can get them sometimes for cheaper than that on different websites, and I got 3 of them because I want to maybe give them away to some friends in the future. I also wanted to try their long knife nib, and I really liked the blue version. These are sold for around between $20 and $30, and you can get free shipping from China. For that price, it is very, very difficult to pick on these pens, even if they had a little bit flaws here and there. For example, not posting very securely. It is really hard to pick on these. I feel like these are very nice pens that have come out of China in the past year or so, and definitely recommend. I have several Hong Dian pens, as well as the Wing Song and many other Chinese pens. The brand that has consistently impressed me with their nib quality is Hong Dian. The Wing Songs are okay, but I was quite unimpressed by their 630. So those are my impressions about these pens. Would I recommend purchasing these pens? Absolutely. I strongly recommend getting these pens, as I do the Hong Dian Cheng Dynasty. These are very, very fine writers for extremely affordable prices. Steel nib versions write very, very well, just as well as any steel nib pen that you can find in the market. For example, the Esterbrook ST Oversize that I have has nothing over one of these nibs, and it is a very smooth writer, but it does not actually supersede these pens in terms of quality, and it's a $200 pen. So take that for what it's worth. I definitely recommend trying these out and letting me know what you think. So I've been thoroughly impressed. I've been waiting for a while to make this review, and if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask in the question section, and I'll be happy to answer. I hope that you found this review informative, and I hope to see you in the next video.